Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to episode 12 of my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today I'm going to do something a little different. Today I'm going to respond to an email that I received regarding my last podcast, Is More Always Better? The email I received was from a woman named Jessica, and she has given me permission to discuss this question on my podcast. Jessica wrote, I love the idea of letting go of this constant nagging I have that more is better. But sometimes I go on Instagram, Snapchat, or Facebook, and I just feel terrible when I see what other people are doing in their lives. I see pictures of their trips and nights out. I read about their work achievements or see pictures of their engagements or marriages, and I think, why don't I have a husband, or a better job, or more vacation time? It's not that I don't wish my friends and acquaintances good things. I don't want to sound like a horrible person, but often it just makes me feel bad about my own life. Do you have any suggestions on how I can view social media differently, or any exercises you can give me? First, I just want Jessica to know how common it is to feel bad sometimes when we go on our social media accounts. Although not all our friends and family want us to feel bad when they look at their social media accounts. But in a way, social media is sometimes like watching an advertisement, making us believe if we had what that person had, we would be happy and fulfilled. And with the holiday weekend just passed, with a lot of people sharing holiday celebrations and trips online, it is a great time to talk about the issue. I'm sure most of you listening know the theory that what people put on social media is just one moment of their lives, and not always a realistic view of someone's entire life. We don't know the details of that moment they shared on Instagram, Facebook, or Snapchat, and what else is going on in their life. We might think to ourselves that everyone has suffering, and their lives could not possibly be that great. However, trying to make ourselves feel better by imagining other people's hardships is not always helpful. It is not sustainable and also feels horrible after a while. Deep down, we really don't want our friends to suffer. We want them to be happy and fulfilled. It's just that we want to be joyous and fulfilled as well. Before I give you some help to embrace a new perspective, I want to repeat how common this is. Right before I started to tape this podcast, I went on my social media account and saw some posts from a friend of mine. There is something about her posts that sometimes makes me feel like I'm not doing enough in my life. She always posts her trips from traveling around the world. Pictures of her at the best restaurants, art openings, book launches, her work success, and she always looks great. Sometimes when I see her Instagram account, I could start to feel bad that I have not done more with my life, or ask myself, why does my life not look more like hers? But I catch myself and I embrace the following perspective to ground myself and go back to what I need to do for my own life. First, when we start to feel bad about our lives based on what someone else has or is doing, we are just looking at what we don't have in this moment. So it's first best to go back to a place of gratitude. Ask yourself, what do I have to be grateful for? Sometimes we just forget the fullness in our lives because we're focused on the lack or what we don't have. Sometimes we can feel bad because we're trying to fit into someone else's life when we have a life of our own with many blessings. So the first thing that you should do when you start to feel this way is to write down your blessings. It's such an amazing place to start because it's so grounding to appreciate the life that we have. So acknowledging what we do have is the launch pad for removing ourselves from this downward spiral of honoring other people's lives more than our own. The second thing you could do is ask yourself, what about my friend's life or whatever I saw on social media is making me feel bad? Sometimes we just go into the spiral of feeling bad that we never really ask ourselves why. What about the picture or post is making me feel negative? After I did my gratitude practice, I asked myself this question regarding my friend's post that started to make me feel negative, and I realized that I just wanted to go out more often. I'm at home a lot working or with the kids, and I was missing out on being more social. It wasn't anything that deep, and I actually made some plans to meet some people for dinner over the weekend. But sometimes why we are feeling down is deeper than a quick fix with a night out with friends. An advertisement or a post can make us feel unworthy, unsuccessful, or lonely. But this is really an opportunity to dig even deeper. And maybe it's okay that we feel this way. Maybe we need to reflect sometimes. We could recognize that we're feeling lack in our lives and ask ourselves what would give our life more meaning and purpose. Often it's not what our friend or family member is actually doing, but it just sparks our lack of direction or meaning for ourselves. So we can use what is making us feel bad to figure out why we are feeling this way and what we want to do about it. Moving forward has two steps. One, we need to accept where we are in our lives. We don't have to like it, but it hurts too much to fight reality. and it takes too much of our creative energy to fight what is. Even if we don't like something, the minute we make peace with the fact that it's happening, we find a place to stand. You can listen to my acceptance podcast for more help with this issue. Then after we find peace with where we are in this moment, then we can look inside ourselves and get past the more issue that I spoke about last week, because often it's not about the bigger car or the bigger house. Ultimately, it's about what will give our lives meaning. It's often not about what's flashy, but more about what's satisfying within ourselves. So if we use these triggers to look deeper into our own lives, then maybe this trigger, although it may feel bad, can become beneficial for us. Maybe it becomes the catalyst of change. So what are you not doing that is meaningful in your life? My search for meaning is one of the reasons I launched this podcast. I was viewing my friend's social media account as she was launching her book with a big publishing house, and I was so happy for her, but it brought up lack within me. So instead of feeling bad, I asked myself what would give my life meaning. And when I thought about it, I realized I wanted to share my work more with the world without being restricted by other people. And it took me a while to launch this podcast because I did it myself. It has been really fulfilling because I feel like I have a voice that I wanted to have. It has nothing to do with my friend's book. It had to do with my path and what I needed to do to move forward. So for you, if you're upset when you see a person happy on a vacation, ask yourself, would a trip be meaningful to me? Find what is affordable, search for some great rates, and start saving your money. And if you're looking on Facebook and start to get upset when you see successes that your friends have at work, ask yourself, what would give my life meaning? It could have absolutely nothing to do with the job that your friend has. It's just bringing up something in your own life that you might be dissatisfied with. Some people really don't want to work harder. Maybe you want more leisure time. Maybe you want to engage more in a hobby. Or maybe you want to see friends and family more often because that's meaningful to you. You can't let someone else paint the picture of what would give you a happy life. I think we're all told we need certain things for happiness, but it will only fulfill us if we truly connect to it. So we can let these moments when we feel upset or jealous or envious to be teaching moments, or a signal to check back into our own lives and start a search for what's important to us. We might find we already have what we need, or we might find it's time for a change, or we might want to dig a little deeper into a certain aspect of our lives. Viktor Frankl, an Australian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." We forget our search for meaning sometimes when we get overwhelmed with what we don't have or what other people have. But if you stay focused and continue to look for what's important to you, I do believe your life will be more satisfying, joyful, and fulfilled. So let's review the steps of what you can do when you start to feel bad about your life when you're on social media. You could also use it if you're watching TV or a commercial or anything that starts to make you feel a lack in your life. First, go back to the blessings of your own life. Write them down or just list them in your head. It is so grounding, and you might just find you have so much joy in your life that you stop feeling bad about anything that you are looking at or experiencing. If you still feel unhappy, bad, or dissatisfied, ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Sometimes it's a quick fix, like when I needed to go out more, and sometimes it's deeper. It is beneficial to use this as an opportunity to ask yourself, what would give your life meaning? Meaning can be simple, like seeing your family and more friends, or saving up for a great vacation. And sometimes it's about making a bigger change in your life regarding work or a relationship. But what can give our life more joy and stability is finding meaning in our lives. It gives us direction. It gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And it doesn't matter what that meaning is. It just needs to be meaningful to you. It needs to come from your inner self and not from a place that looks good in the outside world. Meaning is long-lasting, satisfying, and brings a fullness to our lives that is sustainable. So try not to make your decisions on what other people have, but instead look inside and see what's important to you. As Carl Jung once said, "The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it." You'll be amazed how much your life will start to change when you stop just feeling bad about your life because of what other people are doing, and instead use it as a launch pad for finding more depth, purpose, and meaning in your own life. If you like this podcast, please review it on iTunes. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you want to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. And maybe you might find you are going to spend less time on social media because you'll be so busy living your best life that gives you satisfaction, joy, and meaning.